This is Mike Macumber. This is session 4 of a 7-part series that is entitled Fleet Safety Training, a training module. And this is, if you will, part 2 of the normal daily drive. Some additional things to consider that we want to go through and we want to look at. Safe driving, there are many things that we could consider. Here are 10 driver safe driving tips. Number 1, think safety first. Avoid aggressively and inattentively driving tendencies yourself that will put you in danger or someone else in danger. Number 2, be aware of your surroundings. If you're in an area you've been before, don't assume it's the same as it was the last time you were there. Or if you're in an area that you've never been before, try to anticipate what might happen and also have your mind open to things that you would not expect. Number 3, never depend on the other drivers. They're not dependable. They're not someone that you can rely upon because they're going to behave in a manner that's not expected. Number 4, follow the 3 or 4 second rule. We've talked about that almost in every one of these sessions. Space management, making sure you're behind the vehicle in front of you at least 3 seconds of distance. And number 5, keep your speed down. I just kept going. I'm doing the next one.
You have to tell me.
Okay, I was just talking to my crowd here. Anyway, number 5, keep your speed down. Be in control of your speed, knowing what is happening around you, but also knowing that your vehicle needs to be kept under control. Number 6, plan that escape route. Because you see, an escape route is your safety valve in the event of something going wrong. Number 7, separate the risks. I have a car in front of me. I have a motorcycle in front of me. I have a truck in front of me. All of them behave differently. I have a truck coming up behind me and he's right in my same lane and he's approaching pretty fast. Hopefully he's under control. If I'm going downhill and he's coming behind me, I might be concerned that he could have a brake issue. I might want to pull over just in case. Cut out distractions. Your radio should be set. You shouldn't be touching it. You shouldn't be talking on the phone. You should be in a situation where you are paying attention to what's going on. Avoid aggressive driving. Look, you're in control. You don't have to prove it to anybody. Also, aggressive driving, if it's not in control, becomes a true hazard to your health, along with everyone else. And number 10, stay focused. Heard that before? Yes, stay focused. You have got to be looking at what is going on around you from all angles, not only in front of you, but to the side and behind. You need to be watching what's taking place and making sure that you're safe. What I want to do now, as I take my drink of coffee, is I want you to go through, and we're going to do a 2-page summary of just about everything that happens with a vehicle. First of all, simply backing up your vehicle. I'm going to tell you that you should try to park your vehicle in such a manner that you never have to back it up. You need to understand that when you back up a vehicle, you are using a vehicle the way it was not intended from a visual standpoint to be used. It is designed to look forward for the greatest visibility while driving. When you back up, there are all kinds of visual blocks to your vision, and it makes it more difficult to do so. But invariably, we're going to have to back up sometime. You can't always pull into a parking lot, pull through the lot, and have yourself in a spot where you have to just go forward. Or if you have to back up when you arrive at your destination so that when you leave the next morning, you're pulling forward out, back into the parking spot as opposed to pulling forward. Because when you arrive at a scene, you're arriving at a time when you know everything that's going on around you. You saw everything as you came up. So any of the dangers are already visible to you. So back up into the parking spot, park it, and when you come out, either to leave or the next morning to move the vehicle, you're looking at it through the greatest visibility possible. But let's see, if you have to back up, plan all your moves. But when needed, back out into traffic rather than backing back out of traffic rather than backing into traffic. Pull up close and spot. Honk your horn that you're going to be backing out. Make sure you have visibility both left and right. Take all the time you need and then back, but back up slowly, looking for things that could cause you harm. Many of us have vehicles now that have backup cameras, and I think that's a tremendous addition to your vehicle. But don't ever become so reliant on the camera you don't look at mirrors and look left to right as you're backing. You want to make sure you have full visibility. That backup camera gives you better visibility, but it doesn't give you full visibility. So take the time that you need to make sure that you're backing up properly. Intersections. Remember, these are the most dangerous place in city driving. They're the most dangerous because there's so many things that can go wrong. People could be coming at you from both directions. People could be turning left in front of you, turning right from the left lane in front of you. They could be hitting their brakes as you're behind them and immediately turning right from the center lane. Everything could go wrong. So every time you approach an intersection, you need to be doubly on your guard. You need to be watching where you're going. You need to make sure that what takes place is something you're in control of. And you make sure that you're watching. Turns, left turns and right turns. Obviously, signal your intentions early. Let the guy behind you and the ones coming the other way know what you're going to do and know in plenty of time to give them an opportunity to react properly. Turning left, simply turn the turn signal, watch for traffic to clear, and make your turn. Turning right, again, turn signal, watch for traffic to clear, look at your mirror who's come up behind you, and make your turn. Then if all else happens properly, you make your turn and no problem. Curves and hills. If you're going around a curve, don't assume you know what you're going to find as you pass it. Keep your eyes open for other things. You're going up a hill, the same thing. Parking on a curve or a hill can be dangerous because your vehicle may move down the hill. So make sure your brakes are set the parking brake, and prepare for that. Straight driving, don't think it's always simple because I see what's in front of me. You've got weather issues, other drivers, people coming the other way, people running in front of you, cars stopping in front of you, on and on and on we could go. You see, driving a vehicle requires you to become an expert, almost like a computer, but a computer with the ability to think outside the box. And last but not least, passing. Why do you have to pass? In fact, that should be the question you ask before you ever try to pass a vehicle. And it's really simple. Why? Because passing is one of the most dangerous things you can do while operating a vehicle. I'm in my lane. I want to pass the vehicles driving in front of me so slow. And so before I look and I see the cars way off in the distance, I have time. So I start to pass. And what happens? The guy who's in front of me doesn't like me passing, so he speeds up. So now he's speeding up. I'm parallel. I can't get by him, and the car that was coming the other direction is getting dangerously close. So I decide to slow down, and then he slows down, and now we have a problem. You see, you put yourself in a situation where other things control you instead of you controlling yourself. Then ask yourself, how far am I going to go before I'm going to turn right or turn left? Do I really need to pass? Am I saving 10 seconds? Is it really worth putting my life at risk for 10 seconds? Get used to it. Sometimes we drive slower than we want to because the guy in front of us won't move. Chill, enjoy it, and understand it. There are lots of drivers on the road. I'm going to spend some fun right now. I'm going to tell you about some of them. Well, first of all, we have the slowpoke driver. You know what that is, don't you? You've always driven by him. That's the guy who's in the center lane or the left lane, and he's driving 10 miles out under the speed limit, and he's just tooling right along. He's happy as a lark, oblivious to the world around him. Now, that's when we get mad at, and I think slowpoke drivers cause most of the accidents, but take it in stride and recognize that's just your normal day. So therefore, I have to react. control your emotions, and go on. Or how about the irritated driver? The guy who's already got behind the wheel of the vehicle, he's in front or behind you, and he's mad at the world. He's coming up to you and you're driving the speed limit, but he wants by you and he's honking the horn at you. And as he drives by, he gives you that salute where he tells you how much he appreciates your attention. The irritated driver is a dangerous person. He can be an aggressive driver, and also he can be somebody, an angry driver out of control. You want him in front of you as far away as possible, and you don't want to react. Two irritated drivers create an accident, so be in control. How about the speeder? I may be talking to some of you right now. That's the one who always drives 5 miles over the speed limit and always is going weaving in and out of traffic and is trying to get from point A to point B. Usually this person is the guy or gal who's late and is trying to get there because they took too much time leaving before they planned their day. The speeder can be dangerous because the speeder is going to react quickly in a manner you don't expect. Again, you want the speeder in front of you. How about the angry driver? Well, we talked about the irritated driver. The angry driver is also somebody that is not real good. So you got to be careful about that one. Then we have the road rager. The road ranger. These are drivers who are constantly in a hurry and will do anything, even illegal things, to get from point A to point B. And they're out there. You've seen them. Hopefully they're not you. How about the pop star? This is my favorite. This is when you're driving down the road and you look to your left and the guy in the car is playing the radio too loud and he's singing right along. And he's got one hand on the wheel and the other one he's just making gestures and he's having a grand old time. I call my pop star. He is the individual that is not paying attention. He is a distracted driver. And as a distracted driver, he is dangerous because he doesn't see you. You might be in a bright red vehicle. You might be driving at the speed limit. He does not know you're there. Let me tell you a story. My wife and I were celebrating our 35th wedding anniversary. And we were northbound on Highway 6, just south of West Road. If you've ever been there, you know it's 3 lanes and one going north, 3 lanes going south, and it is a center lane for left turn traffic. As we're driving, I was in the lane nearest the center lane, driving the speed limit. And I was there driving, and all of a sudden I heard my wife say, she's going to hit us. And I got plowed on my side of the vehicle just behind the doorpost, and I was driven across the 3 lanes of traffic into the curb, bounced off the curb, and came back into the center lane at a point of rest. I was driving a bright red 4-door Ford 500. My wife was okay, stiff. I was okay. My vehicle never stopped. Traffic around me had stopped. I pulled my vehicle out because I couldn't go into any side street. I pulled my vehicle into the center lane, put on the emergency flashers, and stopped. Then I looked around the vehicle for my glasses because they had flown off my head and were in the back seat. The young lady who was driving the vehicle to hit me had pulled into a parking lot, a restaurant, and was there. The police came and they towed my vehicle off the center lane out of traffic into the parking lot. I talked with the police officer. He explained to me what had happened. She says she never saw me. Now, I was in a bright red 4-door sedan driving 45 miles an hour at that space, 40 to 45. Daylight at 3 in the afternoon, sunshine and dry roads. And she never saw my vehicle before impact. She was riding the vehicle with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend and her were talking about the restaurant they wanted to go to and talking about how much in love they were. And at the last second, he said, there it is right there. We've got to turn in that parking lot. And she turned. She didn't look. She didn't do anything other than turn into me. So the police officer went over and talked to her. And by that time, the boyfriend's mother had shown up. And the police officer said, I'm giving you a ticket for failure to control your vehicle. I had talked to him. He wasn't going to write a lot of tickets. He was being nice. And the mother says, well, what if she does not want to sign the ticket? And the police officer very calmly folded up his ticket book, put it in his pocket, and said, fine, I'll put my handcuffs on her, put her in the back seat, we'll take her downtown, and she'll spend the night in jail for a court appearance tomorrow. At which point the mother of the boyfriend said, oh, honey, I think you ought to sign it. At which she did, and the day ended, and we were towed to a garage. And of course, my anniversary was memorable, but was not fun. You see, people who are distracted don't see what's going on around them. And if that's you, that's how dangerous you are. You've got to be aware of what's going on around you, and you got to make sure you're protected. How about the multitasker? You know that person. That's the guy or gal who is dictating a report, adjusting the mirrors, driving 40 miles an hour, just the radio, and has everything else while they're driving their vehicle. We call that distractions too, because they're not focused on the one thing that's important, that is driving the vehicle. So you need to make sure you're not a distractor and you're not a multitasker. You're not somebody who's doing more than one thing while driving. When you're behind that vehicle, two hands on the wheel, either at 10 and 2 or 6 and 9. You say, I've never heard of 6 and 9. Well, used to be taught 10 and 2. Over the last 8 or 9 years, they've gone to a 6 and 9 process because we have airbags. 10 and 2, the airbags go off, your hands are thrown back like this, and you lose control of the vehicle. Theoretically, at 6 and 9, you hold on to the wheel when the airbags display, and you just force back body, but you're still controlling the vehicle. Whatever, your job is to hang on to that wheel, control that vehicle, pay attention to what's going on, and make sure that everything is under control. Then we have the agitator. That's the guy who's mad at everybody and wants you to be mad at him too. We have the honker. You know, that's the one behind you who's honking like crazy. Everything you do, you come to a light, the light turns green before you have a chance to move your foot. Honk, honk, honk. People, don't get mad. Don't salute the individual with the finger of your choice. Control yourself. He's out of control. You don't need to be. You need to be someone who knows what's going on around them. And then we have the novice driver. You know, the one who is either timid or is learning to drive, and they are basically afraid to do anything. So they're driving 5 or 10 miles under the speed limit. They're driving in the right lane. They're driving in a manner that they can move real carefully, and they're not sure whether they're going to turn or not, and they're not sure whether they should turn the turn signal on, and they're watching everything around them. Cut them some slack. That probably was you once, or it may have been a family member. Give them some slack and back off and just go around them and smile. Enjoy the day. And last but not least, that's our defensive driver. The defensive driver is the driver who is in control of their vehicle, is paying attention and focus to what is going on around them, is driving within the speed limit, their vehicle is in good maintenance, they know what's going on around them, and they're in control, and their mind is focused on driving and nothing else. So my question, is that you? And is that you every day? It should be. You see, we are here to control the vehicles we drive. And are you controlling yours? The next thing I want to talk about is speed and space management. Stopping distance. You've heard the phrase stopping on a dime. Does any one of you drive a vehicle that stops on a dime? Of course not. And there are a lot of things that come into play for stopping a vehicle. For instance, there is perception time. That's the amount of time it takes your brain to recognize that something is happening and you need to stop. Secondly, there is reaction time. That is the amount of time that your brain takes to tell your body to touch take your foot off the accelerator and hit the brake and stop. We have the braking time. That's the mechanical condition that it takes for your vehicle to stop. And it's the mechanical distance that the vehicle, first of all, works and the condition it's in, your tires best, your brakes good, etc. And then also the road conditions as to what takes place. So let's deal an example. At 40 miles an hour, Perception distance is approximately half to 1 second. That's about 16 feet at 40 miles an hour. Reaction distance is about a second to 2 seconds, or roughly 42 feet at 40 miles an hour. And then braking distance, assuming you have dry roads, no wetness whatsoever, clear sky, sunshine, no rain, your vehicle is in mint condition, perfect tires, perfect brakes. The stopping distance is approximately 170 to 180 feet. So at the point you recognize something is coming into your area that's going to danger and you have to brake, you need about 230 feet to stop, almost a football field. And if that thing that's stopping is the vehicle in front of you and you are riding its bumper, you are going to be on its front bumper when the incident takes place, not its rear bumper. Stopping distance is critical, and these are mathematically proven. That could be 200 feet to 150 feet. And if the roads are wet, or your brakes are not as good as they should be, or you're tired and you took longer to recognize it, that could become 300, 350 feet at 40 miles an hour. So you need to understand, if you want your vehicle to stop in time so you don't have an accident, you've got to make sure, number one, you're controlling yourself. Number two, your vehicle's in good mechanical conditions. And number three, you're focused as to what's going on around you. And number four, you are a proper safe distance away behind the person in front of you. Because everything impacts the stopping distance. The weather. We're fortunate in Texas, we don't get snow. Oh, wait a minute. Sometimes I guess we do, don't we? We don't get ice. Sometimes we get ice down here. We do get water. I do believe it does rain occasionally here in Texas. We do get pipes that burst. We saw that a few weeks ago, and pipes breaking and water coming out. And who is to say that pipe that burst in that cold day was running water and was not ice underneath running water? You got to understand the weather conditions change. The physical condition of the driver changes. You know, sometimes you don't get a lot of sleep the night before. And you haven't had your first cup of coffee and you're kind of a little drowsy. Your reaction time could be double and triple normal time. Your mental condition. Are you distracted? You're thinking about the meeting you're going to or about the fight you just had at home. And so your mind is not focused on totally on driving. Again, your attention span is not going to be the same. How about the traffic and traffic flow? People are coming out of nowhere. How about the fog on the road? How about anything that takes place that alters a perfect condition? How about the Texas roads? You know, we have potholes, we have bumps, we have breaks, we have cracks, we have new roads, we have old roads. All that impacts the amount of time you're going to need to stop. So when you drive, part of the safe driver is taking into consideration where you're driving, the conditions you're going to be in, and preparing for those conditions ahead of time by your conscious focus and by your speed. Space management is critical. If you're driving a car, you need that 3 seconds. If you're driving a truck that's fully loaded, you'll need that 3 seconds, maybe 4. If you're driving a flatbed truck that has the flatbed empty, you may need 5 because you see the flatbed is not being driven into the pavement, and the stopping distance is going to be increased because it's not, when you apply the brakes, you don't have the weight to do it. And if the roads are wet, it has a greater potential of hydroplaning. One of the worst claims we've had to handle in our office was an individual driving a flatbed truck empty, driving within the speed limit. Unfortunately, applied his brakes and hydroplaned, went across the lane and struck a vehicle coming the other way. The young lady driving the other vehicle became a vegetable, was going to need 24-hour care the rest of her life. Expensive claim, sad family. All that because we were driving a vehicle that was not running at its normal efficiency, not because there was something wrong with the vehicle, but because the conditions were different and we were not totally reacting properly to the conditions. You need to stay in your lane. You need to stay in the center of your lane. You need to stay where you can control your vehicle, and you need to always be scanning everywhere around you. Speed and space management is a lifesaver. It may save your life. You see, the distance you travel is the distance, maybe the last distance you ever travel on this earth. Why do people speed? Why do you? Is it kind of you become accustomed to it? I mean, I keep saying this. We all have a lot of people who believe the speed limit is the suggested speed limit, and I've got a 5 mile or more leeway to go above it. I have a lot of friends who drive like that. To be honest, from time to time, I drive like that. You've got to be careful because the conditions of the road and everything going on around you, your speed, if you go above the posted speed limit, you put yourself in greater danger. Things are happening in our lives every day that makes us in a hurry to get where we want to go. Those are the things we've got to control once we're behind the wheel. And that's the hardest thing in the world to do. Your boss says, I need you to get to this job site, and they're already late. I need you there now. So get there as quickly as you can. Don't think he's told you to speed and break the law. He hasn't. Should you break the law and get a ticket, he won't take the ticket for you. It's yours. You still have the same responsibility and same control. If you go back to him and say, boss, you told me to get there in a hurry, so I was speeding. He'll say, you should have understood what I meant by that. And he's actually right. You should have understood. Don't delay. Don't stop at Dunkin' Donuts. Don't fill up with gas. Hopefully the truck is already full. Don't delay in talking to everybody else. Get to the scene. That's what he meant. Stay focused and do your job. Dangers of speeding, the ticket, dangers of speeding, the accident, dangers of speeding, your own personal injury. You see, we are a people who have habits. What are your habits like? Are they good or are they bad? Have you controlled your habits? Have you worked at making your habits better? Are you analyzing yourself? Are you becoming an individual who understands himself and understands the things that you do that are not correct? Last 2 points to talk about. I want to bring up again the aggressive driver, and I'll bring up again the anger and out of control driver. That aggressive driver is a frustrated driver. You cannot reason with him. All you can do is get out of his way. And if you're the aggressive driver, pull over, take a nap, get a cup of coffee, walk around the vehicle, calm down, cool down, and then start a safe drive. The anger, out of control drivers, emotions running. You see, car accidents take place because people are people. And sometimes we get angry. We get mad at something that happened at home. We're not happy with our job. We're not happy with the traffic, and we react to the unhappiness. Got to be careful. We got to make sure that our emotions are not running out of control. The angry driver is a driver who's dangerous and needs to be watched out. They're going to be assertive. They're going to be driving too fast. They're going to feel the road is theirs. Let them have it. Pull away and get out of the way. So we've talked about a lot of things today. We've talked about the generalities of driving your normal daily drive. We've looked at speed and space management. We looked at staying focused, and I've told you some stories. But you still are the one responsible for what happens while you're driving your vehicle. And it's always going to be your responsibility. I can only give you ideas. You've got to take these ideas and you've got to purposely seek ways to change your habits so you become truly the in control quality driver you can be. That's what you're paid to be when you're given a company vehicle. You represent the company. You're paid to be a safe driver. This again is Mike Macumber. We've enjoyed this 4th of our 7-part series.